I'm Peter Bruninger. I'm here at the show, and I've got a cast of stars here in our industry. And let's start over to my left. Please introduce yourself.
Joel Durand Tone Arms.
Hi, Joel. How are you?
Fine, thank you.
And over here.
Joe Cohen from the Lotus Group.
Hi, Joe. How are you?
Hi, and I'm Manny Lakaruba, the chief engineer, I guess, of the Lotus Group as well.
Okay, so this is the Hanss T60. It has a 43-pound platter, which is magnetically levitating, and it has a ceramic shaft bearing, and there's also a small thrust bearing at the bottom. It's adjustable in terms of the magnetic force so that you can have the platter just grounded, just touching the thrust bearing. It has 2 motors and 6 pulleys. It has an outboard speed controller, 2 arm boards, digital speed readout, and this turntable retails for $8,250. So it's an awful lot of turntable for that amount of money.
You know, that is, and today we have turntables that cost $89,000 and dare I say $150,000, one-of-a-kind turntables that I've had some experience with. And honestly, I think that the turntable is really about what you like and the touch points when you touch and feel it. Does it work for you? Does it not? Does it look good in your environment?
Exactly,
does it match your system? And does it give you pride of ownership?
Yeah, and we feel that this fulfills all those requirements, for sure.
And how about the rest of the system?
Okay, so we're using the Esoteric E3 phono stage, which Esoteric was kind enough to lend to us, as well as their A3 stereo solid-state Class A amplifiers, which are just magnificent. We are using Steve McCormick's SMC VRE1C preamplifier, which is a very unusual piece. It's a solid-state preamplifier, has an outboard power supply, but it is transformer coupled in and out, which is not a technology normally used with solid-state amplifiers. And it also has an unregulated choke filtered power supply. And Steve feels that this is essential to give the full open and musical quality that it gives. Another very unusual feature is its remote volume control system internally is a pair of 14 on for each channel hermetically sealed reed switches, which are logically controlled and giving 100 individual volume steps. The previous version, the VRE1B, had a manual stepped attenuator, which was of the very highest quality, and Steve put everything he could into it to get the very best quality. And his requirement for going to a remote control was that it sound at least as good. And what we discovered is that the hermetically sealed reed switches actually ups the level of transparency very, very significantly. So it was a very fortuitous event to get both the convenience and the improvement in performance.
Now the cables are...
Cables are all from Prana Wire. These are all my designs, and there's a wide variety of things going on here. We have various levels. All of our interconnects and speaker cables are made from pure silver ribbons, ranging in gauge from 13 gauge all the way up to 2 gauge, which is a lot of silver per linear foot.
Didn't you say one of them has upwards of a pound of silver per
Yeah,
foot?
that would be our Avatar. I don't have it here in this system. We have our Cosmos and our Nataraja in this, and then each of those conductors has 13 layers of insulating materials, including 2 copper foil shields. So it's a tremendous amount of labor. They're built by hand from the inside out. There's no machine that could make these things anyway. So a tremendous amount of labor, but we think, of course, worth the effort. Our power cables are, we have 2 different types of power cables in this system. We have 7-gauge silver copper hybrids, and we have the large one that you're looking at right there behind the amplifier, which is our Maha Samadhi, and that is a 13-gauge pure silver with an air dielectric and again 13 layers of insulating materials around each conductor. So this cable has wonderful open airy top end extension. The silver hybrid 7-gauge cables have a tremendous amount of power delivery. We also have back there, I don't know if you can see it, is our linebacker accessory, this one that's hiding just behind the phono stage there. And that's an inline passive power filter that basically stops noise dead coming in from any power cable on the outside. It is one of our Satori 7-gauge power cables that is terminated into a box that is heavily damped every which way we can think of internally, and then is filled with materials that absorb noise in a big way. So we feel it's a big improvement to a system.
Well, I'm a big believer in power cables, and 15 years ago I had my first power cable demonstration, and it was it really changed my life. It made me rethink about power cables and the power coming into my system, and I sometimes look at a power cable as an extension of the component. And it makes a profound difference, and sometimes even more of a difference than an interconnect or a speaker cable. So
Yeah,
don't scoff at power
absolutely.
cables. And right now we're looking at the back of this wonderful loudspeaker.